Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Brookfield project, which is Red Core. Red Core, you might also know it as Core 10. It's basically that beautiful rusty steel that we see all over the place. It's used for landscaping, it's used for gardens. In Brisbane here, when you're going over the new Gateway Bridge, the old Gateway Bridge, whatever they call it now, there's a whole heap of rust there. So it's just rust. It's basically steel which creates its own patina over the top. So that rusty orange look that then serves as a protective coating. So this episode in Brookfield, which is a beautiful leafy suburb of in the outside western suburbs of Brisbane, we're going to talk about how we transformed this house for our customer from a disgustingly it was just ugly. It was horrible. It was run down. And working with the customer and their vision and their goal and what they wanted to achieve for their home, we worked with them to do a lot of things. And what are those things that we worked with? Well, stay tuned. We'll tell you, and you'll get to see it. So this project was started. We started the process with the customer in 23, where the customer wanted to they're renovating their entire place. He'd gutted the entire house inside and was working to make it a home for himself. He's a single gentleman that just wanted something to call home that would be something he wanted to come home. He does a lot of travel and he wanted to be able to come home to a really cool place. And this was no exception. Basically, the scope of work that we needed to do was he had a leaking box gutter on the extension roof. The roof was pretty ordinary, so we needed to replace the box gutter, replace that section of roof. We threw a whirly bird on there and a Chinaman's hat for a that was a vent for in his kitchen, along with the cladding on the outside. So that's where it kind of started with, and we went with a few different options. And when we mentioned to him about the Red Core, which is a BlueScope product, he got excited. So we went through with a few different profiles and suggested that we could fold our own custom panels to achieve a look and the look that he was going for. And so that's what we did. So eventually, when we started in 2024, he'd got windows replaced. He'd done a lot of electrical lighting, and then we came in and we started the process. As we started, he noticed that it started to make other things not look so good, and there was other challenges that went with that. And so as we started, he saw, hey, can we do the sophites? Now, if you don't know what sophites are, they're essentially the lining underneath the roof between the fascia and the walls. So he asked, can we do the sophites as well? So we're like, yes, of course we can. That led to a larger problem down the track, though, which I'll get to when we get there. So Josh and Rob were the two guys that led this job and turned it from what it was into something else. We had to have folders on site to make it all work really well. Um, the what was good about it, however, was that nothing was square. Yeah, so I said good. What that means, though, there's a lot of packing of battens and a lot of packing of wall framing and things that need to be addressed to make sure that the walls could be done right. So there's a lot of those sorts of challenges on this job. And so where sometimes you'd have a corner piece made up and you'd think it would be a right angle or you'd think that it would be square from top to bottom. On this project, it certainly wasn't. From the bottom up to the top over 2 stories, you'd have potentially, uh, like 40, 50 millimeters out of square. So using the Red Core and having it custom made allowed us to be able to do a wall at a time and then order a little bit of pieces to make it all work. The challenge with this is as soon as the customer wanted the Safite, there was not enough coil in Brisbane available to make that work. So there was enough coil to do all the walls. However, then we ordered the Safites and run out of coil, and that led to a bigger problem. So the problem is we had to wait 8 weeks for the material to be made and then slit and then formed into the flashings that we needed it to be, which all well and good. However, as you may know about in construction, that if you book in jobs and the jobs you have a certain amount of time and then you go on to other jobs. And that happened in this job, which was unfortunate for the customer that we weren't able to finish in the first hit. And it was very stressful for him and for us. He was very patient with it, and the end result that he's achieved is has sort of made up for it. But we here at Mike Ladders, and especially myself, felt quite uh, like we weren't delivering for the customer because of the delays that were happening, because it wasn't just the 8 weeks, it was 8 weeks. And then because we're on so many larger jobs, quite intense jobs, we can't leave those, especially because they're commercial or residential, and there's scaffolds involved. And so whenever there would be a gap, we'd go back and do a little bit here and a little bit there, and sort of added into the variations of the job. So when we added in sophites and the fascia and the gutter, um, and a few other little things, it adds to the time frame. And so on this one, because it was a quite a bespoke project, lots of little challenges on it, it made it quite a difficult one for us to carry out in a timely fashion. So I'm not going to sit here and say that we nailed the time frame, because we certainly didn't. This one we really let the customer down and what we believe would be the best way of doing things. So we did communicate with the customer, and we went back and forward, and things were still amicable, very happy, to the point where at the end of the job, there was variations that he wanted to add on to that, like a little deck area with some roofing on it, which wasn't part of the original plan. But it ended up, if you didn't do it, it would have looked like a bit of a tacky spot on the side of this beautiful house. So things like that add to it and added to the challenge. Though the end result, that's what we're here to talk about, is how it went from the start to the finish and turned it into what it looks like now. So that kind of is everything that we have to talk about. Now, where is Brookfield? Brookfield is out in the western suburbs, and um, it's kind of a not a long drive, but if to get there, you're kind of driving out into the country. It's out, you go through Chapel Hill out towards Brookfield, if you know where that is. Have a look. The job is amazing. It stressed us out crazily. It stressed us out crazily. It also taught us a lot about making sure on quantities and materials, especially when dealing with things which are outside of the ordinary. And so in this one, it was definitely a lot of outside the ordinary. There was sophites that then we had the cladding. There was sections of wall that didn't line up, windows which weren't perfectly straight. And I could go on and on about the challenges that we've had on this job. Just let's just finish that by saying there was lots of them, and it really hurt the time frame. And sometimes time frames can be really, really important. This one wasn't necessarily super important, but to achieve the end result that we achieved, we could have done it quicker, but we didn't. And now I'm waffling. So I'm just going to finish up and let you know that with my cladders, we have empathy, and we struggle if we're not able to achieve the things that we want to achieve in a timely fashion. So this one here, I'm throwing my hat in the ring and saying, yep, we stuffed up on this one. Still achieved the end result. Could have done things better, but the end result was what mattered. And so the client's really happy with it. We're doing some more work for them now. And if you like what you see, then that's great. It's something that we take a lot of pride in. It's something that we don't want to have uh, defects. We don't want to have things that people are unhappy with. And especially when people are spending the sort of money that they're spending, they're going to end up with the expectations. Again, as I've mentioned in the past, we believe we achieve the expectation because our customers' expectations are so high. I don't believe that we've blown the doors off it, because from the word go, the client came to Mike Ladders because they wanted the outcome that they wanted. They've got the outcome that they've wanted. And so that's the big tick. That's what we do. If you're interested in anything that we're doing, if you want to have us come to you, if you've got a project you're interested in and want to achieve a really high end result, give us a call. Um, we're not always perfect. We're not always timely, but what we are always is striving to achieve a very high end result that you will be happy with. See you later, gladiators, and stay tuned for the next one.